They called him El Patron. To some, he was a hero, a modern-day Robin Hood who built homes for the poor. To others, he was a monster, the man who drenched Colombia in blood and cocaine. This is the story of how one man became the richest criminal in history and how his empire came crashing down. Picture Medellín, Colombia in the 1970s, a city buzzing with ambition, corruption and chaos. Amid the dusty streets and rumbling motorbikes, a young man named Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was making his way up from nothing. He was smart, cunning and ruthless, the kind of man who could charm you with a smile and destroy you in the same breath. Pablo started small, stealing cars, smuggling cigarettes, petty crimes. But soon he discovered something far more profitable: cocaine. At the time, the drug was barely known in the United States, but Escobar saw what no one else did: a gold mine. He began smuggling small amounts into Miami. The profits were insane, so he scaled up, and by the 1980s, his Medellín cartel controlled nearly 80% of the world's cocaine trade. Every week, Escobar's planes and submarines carried tons of cocaine into the US, hidden in tires, boxes, even under fruits. He earned up to $420 million a week, and Forbes listed him among the world's richest men. With that money, Escobar transformed Medellín. He built houses, schools, and football fields. Poor families adored him. They called him Don Pablo, the man who gave back when the government didn't care. But that generosity came at a deadly price. When the government or police stood in his way, he gave them a simple choice: plata or plomo, silver or lead. Take the bribe or take a bullet. Judges, journalists, politicians, anyone who opposed him ended up dead. Planes were bombed, entire buildings were blown up. Colombia became a war zone and Escobar was at the center of it all. By the late 1980s, Escobar wasn't just a drug lord, he was practically running the country. He had a private army of over 2,000 men, fleets of aircraft, and a zoo filled with exotic animals on his vast ranch, Hacienda Napoles. He even got himself elected to the Colombian Congress. But when a brave politician exposed his criminal past, Escobar had him assassinated in broad daylight. That was the moment the government and the United States decided he had to go. The hunt for Escobar became one of the largest manhunts in history. The US DEA, Colombian police, and a special task force called Los Pepes, made up of his enemies, joined forces to bring him down. He was forced to surrender once in exchange for protection and was allowed to build his own luxurious prison, La Catedral. It had a waterfall, a soccer field, and even a bar. But when the government realized he was still running his cartel from behind bars, they tried to move him. Escobar escaped. For over a year, he hid across Medellín, constantly changing safe houses, disguising himself, and talking to his family over radio. But on December 2nd, 1993, his luck ran out. Police tracked a phone call to his location. Escobar tried to flee across the rooftops, barefoot, holding a gun. A gunfight broke out. Moments later, the most wanted man in the world lay dead on a rooftop, a single bullet through his head. Some say he was shot by the police, others believed he pulled the trigger himself, one last act of control. When Pablo Escobar died, crowds filled the streets of Medellín, some crying, others cheering. He was both savior and sinner, a man who gave life and took it away. But his death marked the end of an era. The cocaine trade would never be the same again, and Colombia will forever bear the scars of his reign. So remember his name, Pablo Escobar, the man who built an empire out of white powder, ruled with fear and fortune, and proved that power gained through terror always ends in terror. What do you think of Pablo Escobar? I'd like to know in the comment section. For more stories like this, please follow, like, share and subscribe.